confused, everyone.
Let's get dangerous.
This is so cool.
I know.
It feels so right.
Jake silly.
I'm sorry, who is this?
Nice try, Moonman. Pretending not to know. Earth's greatest mastermind.
You just made the list.
I thought you said that was a myth.
Just because it's a myth doesn't mean it's not true.
If you all blindly follow my plan, we may have a chance.
Sure, we talk about it all the time.
Really?
No. Burn.
Game on, you Ducks. Week 2 of the preseason is nearly in the books, so time for another wrap-up and kind of give you the biggest points and notes from Week 2. Weren't as many as Week 1, but some notable ones. And if you saw my tweet, I am giving away 2 copies of the Madden codes, or I guess 2 codes for copies of Madden 26, whatever it might be. Stay tuned, and I'll tell you how to enter for a chance to win in those. And yes, it is helping out the podcast, but hopefully you guys are willing to do that. First up, just going to kind of run through games almost in order here. Looking at the Titans situation, Elic Ayomanor, the rookie, if you were intrigued by him as a late round stash, stick with it. If not, get on board now. Tyler Lockett, I do think, will be involved initially to start, but as we saw last year, kind of nearing the end for his career. If you're looking for a deeper stash, Ayomanor, I think, can step up and probably play in 2 wide receiver sets before the middle of the season, if not sooner. So keep an eye on that, especially if Cam Ward is anything like we hope he can be. For the Darnell Mooney situation with the Falcons, it looks like it might be Washington stepping in for him. This would be interesting if he's mainly the number 2, as I said, if there's no Mooney, but also if that Kyle Pitts doesn't have a rebound season, because if it is Pitts, I wouldn't expect a lot of consistency or reliability out of Washington, especially with Bijan Robinson commanding so much and Tyler Algier getting his share. So this is more so if Kyle Pitts is a non-factor, which I know some people are hoping for because they've been burned so many times. For the Dolphins, Jaylen Wright, I am still drafting. He is still the number 2 for now, but I have also been and saying to take some flyers on Ollie Gordon. I'm going to say it. I think I've said it already on this podcast that I think he fits the Raheem Mostert role better than Jaylen Wright. And Jaylen Wright has not only left the door wide open, he's basically inviting Ollie Gordon to come across here and take it. So if Ollie Gordon has the number 2 role here with the touchdown upside for the Dolphins, he will be potentially a nice late round flyer, but also somebody in deeper leagues, or if you went wide receiver heavy, somebody you might be able to get a few usable weeks. New word of the week, usable, or just a mispronunciation. For the Texans, you guys know I love some Jayden Higgins. I'm watching the reports, though, because there's some interesting use, at least in the second game, that he might not be the number 2, and that it actually might be he's the backup plan for Nico Collins. I still believe everything up to this point that Higgins was the 2. Christian Kirk is the 3, working out of the slot, but maybe that's more Kirk being the 2, and Higgins is only going to be out there for 3 wide to start the season. So I'm saying to say, be patient. If it doesn't come right out of the gates, I still believe Higgins has upside to be Marvin Jones, which that's a wide receiver 4 or better once he is out there the majority of the time, and they might run a lot of 3 wide anyway. For the Packers situation, looked like Marshawn Lloyd was going to be the backup and finally going to be the guy that we hoped he could be as a late round stash, but he's hurt again. Looks like it's Chris Brooks that's up next, but I would expect if Josh Jacobs is hurt, that's going to be a mismatch situation behind, maybe not anybody clearly the option to pick up. So it could be Chris Brooks mixed in with Emmanuel Wilson. Not anybody to really stash right now, especially with Lloyd being banged up. The Raiders situation was interesting with Brock Bowers. I'm expecting this to just be a preseason usage type of thing, but the Michael Mayer, we know he had talent coming out of college. We know that it was drafted to a terrible situation because of Brock Bowers coming in the next season. But all that being said, Pete Carroll's been using him. Pete Carroll's been taking Bowers off and mixing them, especially for the blocking down. So, again, not worried. I think Bowers is still top 3, clearly top tier, potentially even the number 1. But as I was saying before, this doesn't really change my stance of I'm not drafting Brock Bowers in the second round. Probably mid-late 3rd, I would still take him alongside McBride. But at least this does raise an eyebrow a little bit. For the Cowboys situation, the Jalen Tolbert excitement, probably a little squashed. It looks like he's continually playing behind Kevontae Turpin. And not that we're drafting Turpin, but just as a telling sign that if something were to happen to either Lamb or George Pickens, it doesn't look like it'll be Jalen Tolbert. For the Chargers, Quentin Johnston avoided a major injury. Interesting enough, though, he was out there playing basically as the 2 with Keenan Allen and 3 wide. Keenan Allen's only been with the team for a short while. Great that he's coming back to the team that he knows. But I still think that Keenan Allen's going to be more valuable, will be the consistent number 2 as in value. But the number 3 is going to be Quentin Johnston and potentially at some point Trey Harris, which will just be boomer bust weeks, better than best ball, or DFS or whatever. And maybe if something happens to Keenan Allen. For the Giants situation, it's only one catch. It's only one big play, but there's talk that Bo Collins could be surpassing Jaylen Hyatt. Again, deeper leagues, super deep leagues, dynasty stash, best ball, whatever it might be. Bo Collins is an underrated wide receiver who is kind of quiet in the offense at Notre Dame. So somebody that I already had my eye on, but wasn't expecting him to really catch on until year 2 or 3 at the earliest, especially given the Giants situation. For the Steelers situation in the backfield, Kaleb Johnson stepping into the Najee Harris role, but maybe not right out of the gate. Arthur Smith strikes again. Here we go. Kaleb Johnson playing behind Kenneth Gainwell. I don't know what to make of this. This is baffling to me because Kaleb Johnson, especially with the talent that they have and drafted him as such, it seems weird to have him behind Kenneth Gainwell, but it is Arthur Smith. It is a situation where all 3 could be involved, that being Johnson, Gainwell, and Jaylen Warren, which would tell me, and hopefully tells you guys, just draft Jaylen Warren, and he's going to have the best value at this point. I would also say, I'm not drafting Kaleb Johnson, but maybe let somebody else draft him, especially since he's going in front of Warren. He's going at the most highest priced Steelers running back, and then let somebody else draft, get frustrated, and be willing to trade him on the cheap. So there's your opportunity there. The Jaguars kind of flipped their script again this week. It was originally a lot of Etienne on the lead with the early work and with the first team in week 1. That was a lot of ones mixed in there. That's why I got a little tripped up. He was out there looking to be the one for the Jaguars in week 1, and now Tank Bigsby almost about 50-50 of the snaps with Etienne, with the first team, with the lead work, and even some passing down work for Tank Bigsby, which is what we kind of heard and expected a few weeks ago, that this could be a 50-50 split. It looked like it might turn a little bit more towards Etienne. Slight edge to him, especially because the passing game work. If it is a 50-50 split, go back to the Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris situation from the Steelers of last year. We all wanted Warren in half and full point PPR for the upside. I'd still lean slightly that way, but this looks like it could be a frustrating situation going forward. The biggest tell here also is that Bashal Tutin is still not getting to work with any of the starters. For the excitement for people had for him after the drafts, looks like he's clearly behind Bigsby and ETM. Last 2 before we get out of here. The Bears rookie, Luther Burden, is playing behind Olamide Zaccheaus. The wee little man is clearly the slot option, and I think Luther Burden can definitively play there and eventually take over. But slow road to get there. Somebody that maybe, again, another one where you let somebody else draft, drop, even move on from them, or just avoid for right now. Remember that Luther Burden has a ton of upside, but it's probably going to take some time, with especially how this team looks. And it could have been a tough road anyway, because you had Burden on top of DJ Moore, on top of Adunze, on top of Colston Loveland, and trying to get past Cole Kmet, and of course DeAndre Swift out of the backfield. Tons of options here. And then lastly, told you this was going to be a quick one this week, but there's more coming. Oh, by the way, I should have mentioned that. More coming on what the future podcast will be. Jacory Croskey-Merritt, I don't know if you're drafting him in round 2 yet. You definitively should, maybe even round 1. Obvious jokes aside here, the talk started last night when I'm recording this, Sunday night, with the Brian Robinson rumors of being shopped by the Commanders, and all the Croskey-Merritt people came online and told you. Croskey-Merritt's a nice piece. He's a nice talent. I don't think he would ever be a clear lead 15 to 20 touches per week. I think he would split with Eckler. I think Eckler's role is solidified no matter who is next to him, whether it's Brian Robinson, Croskey-Merritt, or heck, even Chris Rodriguez. So I do think that if Brian Robinson was traded, yes, Croskey-Merritt would be in the RB2, RB3 conversation, but just like Brian Robinson was, unless Eckler gets hurt. So if you're in Dynasty, potential sell high because people were going bonkers last night and still this morning. And then on top of it, this is tougher. If you're drafting both right now, I would draft Brian Robinson as an RB3. His value potentially could go up in the right spot, but it's kind of late in the preseason to find a new team where he would be right out of the gate valuable. And then Croskey-Merritt would obviously see that bump I was talking about. Brian Robinson's gone. The risk is, if they're both here, well, Brian Robinson's fine. He keeps his RB3 value. but Croskey-Merritt, potentially full-on committee. Actually, I would say Brian Robinson does have the downside to be an RB4 if this is a full-blown committee with Croskey-Merritt and maybe, like I said, even a little bit of Chris Rodriguez splitting in. But, again, biggest takeaway, how many agains do I have to say right now? Eckler is the value here. I think he's an RB3 and half and full point PPR for as long as he can stay healthy. He was still productive last year. So the two things I promised going forward, I think I'm going to run through players rapid fire in the next couple podcasts because my rankings don't have notes next to them and like things like this. It'd be like Croskey-Merritt's ranked, blah, blah, blah. Well, why? So kind of trying to do like a run through of notes, so to speak, on every single player as your drafts are here. And then on top of it, to get those Madden codes, to enter a giveaway, one PS5, one Xbox code. I'm assuming everybody listening is subscribed to the podcast, but if not, subscribe. Do the whole review thing. If you don't want to give me 5 stars, I'm okay with that. Just review me and tell me I'm stupid and give me 3. Just maybe don't give me 1. Do all that. And if you want, like that, those are the entries that we've done in the past. You probably are used to this by now, but those give you entries and I'll do the random giveaway. But you want a lot of entries. Look, I'm just not going to do this. Subscribe. Show me a screenshot that you subscribed. 1 star. Review. Subscribe. That's another 1. That's 2. I will give 5 entries away if you tweet about it and be like, love to see the podcast back, blah, blah, blah. Not at me, but like in general, and then mention me. So it's like all your friends and family can see the tweet because I got to get the traction going again. I don't know if it's because this podcast is an old one that I rebooted, but it's kind of not getting the traction like it normally would. And maybe because people thought it was canceled, or it kind of was, and it was on this hiatus. I don't know. It's a TV show that came back 5 years later. It is the new DuckTales. That's what it is. Just like this new show. So I appreciate you guys listening. The new podcasts are coming. I will announce the winner. And then I'm trying to get some more codes to do this more than once. But until then, love you guys. Okay, bye. Have fun. See you later.